Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Deidre with Are You a CPS Victim Like Me? I am joined today by a guest, and her name is Debbie, and she's going to share her story of how she's been affected by CPS in just a moment here. But for anybody just tuning in, maybe for the first time, I do the show under an attorney that practices here out of Southern California, and his name is Vincent W. Davis, and he's been practicing for over 35 years, and I feel like is an excellent attorney, if not the number one attorney, in order to be successful in getting children either back home or to remain home. So again, I do this show to kind of help get the word out there for parents that might be going through a case themselves or have come in contact with CPS in any kind of way, shape, or form, or any other relatives for that matter. But I myself was a victim of CPS and had my children taken back in 2020. And my fight isn't over yet. And I'm still fighting to get my children returned home. And hopefully, soon, within the next month or two, I should be successful in doing that with my two older boys. But again, I do this show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And anybody that is interested in being a guest and wants to come on and share their story, you can always call into the number on the bottom right hand corner of the screen and my producer can get you scheduled and you can come on and share your story. So again, I don't want to take too much time away from Debbie, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to her. And Debbie, if you want to introduce yourself and go ahead and start with your story. Go ahead, Debbie.
My name is Deborah Crosby. My daughter is Christine Broughton. And on February the 28th, we had a Zoom with the Medicine Lodge School in Kansas. The principal was an Aaron Fisher. We were trying to get help for my grandson. And the school didn't like me and my daughter do not drive. They kind of scolded us. And then they kept on bringing up Arrowhead West, which is for adults that have severe learning disability, which my daughter does not have. They told her if she would not go to Arrowhead West, they would take her grandson. She told them no. Yeah. She doesn't need Arrowhead West. Two DHS workers were there. One was Philip and one was Phil. I can't think of their names. I can't think of their last names. And they told us since my daughter would not go to Arrowhead West, they took him right out of school. They did not return him home. They didn't have a warrant. They did not have a court order. The next day, they brought up bruises, which it was only on the left arm. John was a difficult 3-year-old. So we went to court March 7th of 2024. They gave my daughter a lawyer and they put him in the foster care. And March 28th, we met with a Heather, I can't think of her last name, Pelkey was a case manager. She wanted friends and family's phone numbers. I told her no. No, I'm not going to have you people deal with my friends and my family. They wanted my medical records. That's private. They set up a case plan. My daughter got visits. We went back to court April the 5th, and John was returned.
Yeah. Let's try to not say the child's name. Sorry.
He was returned. The judge told my daughter, and she was never put on the stand. They've never put my daughter on the stand and let her tell her side of the story. They've never done that. The judge told her, and I'm allowed to be in court here in Kansas. you're allowed to, grandparents can be in court. The judge told my daughter, you will put and we'll put him in school, and I don't want to see no bruises. Everything's fine. He's home. April the 15th, I had a Jennifer Duvall show up wanting to do a house inspection. I told her we had a meeting to try to get a payee fixed. And I asked her if it could be okay to do it the next day. She agreed. I had to come home and use the bathroom. No gallbladder. She came back. And I left. And I'm outside of the library waiting for Chelsea Rose, who was going to help me with my payee, my daughter's payee. I get a call from, I believe, Jennifer Duvall. I know what you're doing in your mind, meaning I didn't have a meeting. I'm just sitting out the library. I'm just sitting outside the library. And at 7 p.m., we had a Jennifer Duvall, the Medicine Lodge police, show up and take John, and they used bruising again. Did not have a court order, did not have a warrant, did not know they had to have that. They put John back in foster care. They have never, on the second bruises that look like a thumbprint, no evidence, never seen the pictures. And that's where we're at.
Has your daughter ever been charged criminally with child abuse?
No.
Are they still doing an open investigation?
Huh?
Are they still doing an open investigation?
There was never, we're involved with TFI, who is a third party to DHS. I don't understand why. TFI is foster care.
Okay.
We've had.
Go ahead.
We've had 3 workers ever since April 15th until now. We're on our 3rd worker, and my grandson is on his. No, 4 workers, and he is now on his 3rd foster home. June, let me see. June the 2nd, we had an in-house visit because he had a monitored visit, and he comes in the house with no supervision, but there's a worker outside. And last Monday, they're like, we found a handprint on his butt. And my daughter's lawyer requested pictures. To this day, they haven't produced them. There was supposed to be an investigation, but nobody knows nothing. And so the funny part about that.
Let me ask you, am I understanding you correctly? The monitor that monitors the visit sits outside the house?
No. The worker sits outside the house.
So who monitors the visit?
Nobody. That's what I was sent with an email.
That makes no sense.
I know. I have an email. That says monitored.
But the monitor never comes inside the house during the visit?
The worker comes in to drop John off, and the only time she brings him in the house, and when it's time to pick John up, she
try not to say the child's name. Just say your grandson.
Oh, I'm sorry, grandson. I gotta remember that.
Sorry.
But
John is a nickname.
They supposedly last Monday, I got an email saying we found a handprint, but that's a problem they're gonna have to prove. My daughter has very small hands. And
well, see, that's the whole reason why the monitor should be inside the house. Therefore, they wouldn't be able to say that your daughter gave your grandson a handprint if they're actually monitoring the visit. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's all I've been told is monitored. And I mean, that's like unsupervised because nobody comes in. They sit outside of the house.
That's not monitoring in my mind.
Yeah, my opinion too. I guess John has had problems. Grandson. Oh no, grandson. The foster mother. I don't know why he was sent to Cambridge Children's Mental Health in Hayes, Kansas. We haven't even got the report of that. In fact, he was released Monday. I emailed, me being who I am, I emailed the school. The school does not even think that my grandson's a dangerous. They think John, my grandson, they believe that he's not, he ain't dangerous himself. They don't see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what that, I mean, we have court June the 10th, and my lawyer don't even, Chris's lawyer don't even know nothing. My lawyer don't even know nothing.
It's July 10th.
July the 10th.
But your daughter is still in the reunification process, like she still has her services intact. They haven't been terminated.
Her services are complete. They were completed. I believe they were completed.
It was last year.
When
Last year, somehow.
they were completed a couple of months ago.
Last year.
No, it was this year.
Okay, yeah, this year. My bad.
Her services are all completed.
Well, yeah, she really needs to talk to her court-appointed attorney and have him, you know, or her tell the courts that everything that she was told to do, she's done, and, you know, to request the child to be returned home.
Because he has no, the pictures that they were supposed to get from the ER, because they saw the handprint, they took him to the ER, and that's when they stopped the visits. But no pictures have been documented.
Your daughter currently doesn't have any visitation right now?
No.
Say that again.
She said, do I have my business?
Has your daughter's visitation been terminated at the moment?
Yes. All because of supposedly there was an investigation with DHS, which nobody knows about that.
How long has it been since your daughter has seen your grandson?
1 week.
Tomorrow, on Friday, be 2 weeks.
She used to see him every Friday.
But as of right now, they've stopped the visits?
All because of the investigation with DHS, which I haven't heard from DHS, and no lawyers have heard from DHS, and they don't even know nothing.
So now she has to wait until her next court date in July before she can see her child again?
That I don't know. Nobody is saying, nobody knows.
I would be down at that courthouse or the social service offices tomorrow and speak to a supervisor and see if she can really get to the bottom of this, because you always want to keep in the back of your mind when they stop visitation, and the longer the time goes by, if they ever get to a 6-month mark where you have not been able to see your child, they could turn it around against you and say it's abandonment and immediately terminate your rights. So whenever visitation is off the table, it's kind of to me, a really big red flag. So the sooner the better that she can get to the bottom of why the visitation has been stopped. And if anything, I would tell the social service office that if I'm supposed to have monitored visits, but the monitor sits outside the house, how is that monitored? And then if it was done correctly, there would be no way that they could say that your daughter put any bruises on your grandson if they're monitoring the visitation. So it sounds like they're setting your daughter up for failure from every avenue, which they normally do. But I don't know what else I was going to say. I forget. Oh, did we lose her? Let's give Debbie a couple minutes here and see. Oh, there she comes back.
Oh.
There you are. But I lost you there for a second. Well, I mean, like I told you earlier when we talked a little bit, you know, I do these shows mainly because a lot of people have no idea what CPS's like narrative is in order to take people's children when they really shouldn't be taken and, you know, keep them out of the home and try and, you know, have that time clock go against you, because the longer they have your child in their custody, you know, the more likely it is that you're going to end up losing your rights. And a lot of parents don't realize that, and they don't believe that they're really going to lose their rights. And so they kind of just, they don't really, I feel like, believe that this is what's going on, and they just let the time go by, and the next thing you know, you're at your TPR hearing and not really understanding that they're about to, you know, strip you of your rights and lose your child altogether. Now my question is, they've been putting your grandson in the 3rd foster home, you said now, right?
Yes.
Do you think these foster parents have an incline to maybe want to adopt the grandson, or they haven't had him long
I don't know.
enough to-
I in fact, I don't even know who these new foster parents are. And
The first one did.
I thought your daughter was talking, sorry. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like these court-appointed attorneys, you know, they work for the state, so therefore I feel like they're all one team and they really don't fight for the parents the way that they should. Have you ever thought of maybe trying to hire your own attorney, or the funds aren't there for that?
do I?
She asked if we can get a lawyer, a different lawyer, or do we have the funds for it?
I don't have the funds.
Yeah, that's usually
Money
what
is
it is.
very, very tight.
Yeah. No, I understand, and that's usually what every parent has to face and aren't able to hire their own attorney. But then the problem lies in the fact that these court-appointed attorneys, I feel like, don't really do what they should be doing for these parents. You know, like this attorney of your daughter's should be filing some kind of motion for, you know, coming closer than July in order to see what's going on with why her visitation was stopped, you know, especially in the fact that her visits are not being monitored correctly, and that I feel like they're using that then against her. Because if that monitor was really monitoring the visit, there's no way that they could say that your daughter put a bruise on your grandson if they were watching and monitoring the visit. So maybe your attorney could actually use that against them in a way and say, you know, the monitors aren't monitoring my visit, therefore they're not able to see that there's no way I could have put a bruise on my grandson. So, well, I mean, all you could do is just, like I said, try and make better communication with your court-appointed attorney, because that's really the only person that's going to be able to make anything happen for you in the courtroom. And if that attorney doesn't seem to want to do anything for you, I mean, you can always try to request a new court-appointed attorney to be, you know, assigned to your case, and maybe see if that makes a difference. But, you know, it's not easy to do. But if you try to show to the judge that this attorney isn't doing anything for you, that might be another avenue to go down. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any other kind of recommendations for you other than the fact of, I mean, you said that your daughter doesn't have a open criminal case for child abuse, or
No,
you don't know?
no.
See, that's the other thing that never makes sense to me with
Well, we
CPS
don't
cases.
know.
It's like they want to make an allegation against a parent that technically is considered a
So
form of
they do,
abuse, child
but
abuse, but then they never get charged criminally. So it's
they
like,
don't
how
find
can
evidence.
CPS really hold these parents accountable for something like that if they're not even being charged criminally? It doesn't make sense to me. It's just, again, another way for them to be able to kind of do their own thing as far as getting that child in their custody. Does your grandson still go to school, the same school, or you don't know?
He's out of school.
For summer?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that they were trying to kind of diagnose your grandson with autism at one point, and that's maybe why they sent him to the mental hospital this last week,
His
or
his his therapist, who's here in town, Julie Allen, she's the one that believes John has autism. She does not work for CPS. She's a private therapist, and she's been a great lady, doing a great job. My daughter was told by a judge, you have to go to this, I call it play therapy. The term that Julie uses is intense therapy. And it's like play therapy. I've seen pictures. It's just, they're trying to teach him how to play games, textures, blowing bubbles. And he's been doing that for a year.
what do you think the reason was that they took him to the hospital?
When was it? Last Monday is when the foster mother is sent to Cambridge Children's Mental Health in Hayes, Kansas. The foster mother, the new foster mother, sent him there because John was having, I guess he bit someone or something happened. Something triggered him.
That seems kind of extreme to send him to the mental hospital if he was kind of just being a typical 5-year-old and maybe had, an outburst of some reason, but to immediately take him to a mental hospital seems to be.
In fact, I called him last week and acted like I was an aunt, used a different name, and my daughter wasn't even on the call list.
See,
the only two people that were on
the right, she should be entitled to know and even attend, from what I understand, any and all medical appointments and whatnot, as long as she hasn't had a right to terminate it.
Now, they had his tonsils removed, and the only reason I found out about that, the school told us. I was on a Zoom, and they were talking about, because he has an IEP, and they told me that John had his tonsils removed, and I wasn't even told about that. In fact, they can't even find out if that actually happened.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right. Any and all medical procedures, I would think they would still have to run by your daughter because she hasn't had her rights terminated. Is
she has all of her rights.
Yeah.
She used to see him.
Go ahead.
She used to see him for 3 hours in the apartment. With no worker. Huh?
And now she doesn't see him at all.
Nope, nobody. She just in my opinion, it's unsupervised visits, but they use the word monitor. And she doesn't, she brings them in, drops them off. She goes out and she leaves to get lunch. She comes back and she just sits there.
See, actually, I would have my attorney pose that to the judge and say, this is clearly not monitored, and it looks like I'm safe enough to be around my child than unmonitored, because otherwise, why would the monitor not be inside the house? Therefore, I feel like I don't pose a danger to my child, and my child should be immediately returned. Honestly, that's what I would say. Try and use what they're doing against them, because they're not doing it correctly. If you're supposed to have monitored visits, that monitor or supervisor has to be within eyesight of your child the whole time. Not drop off the child and then come back and pick them up at the end. That's clearly what they considered unsupervised visits. And if your daughter's having unsupervised visits, then that obviously proves that she's not a danger to the child, and therefore the child should be replaced or returned home. She should really let her attorney know that that's what's going on during the visit. Can you hear me okay? Or is my audio bad?
I can hear. I can tell her what you're trying to tell her. Sometimes she can't hear you.
My hearing.
Oh, okay. Well, because sometimes my audio hasn't been good lately, so I was wondering if it was something on my end that was making it difficult. So I just wanted to make sure.
No, you're fine. It's just she can't hear so good. Her hearing is pretty bad.
Okay, no, that's okay. No worries. Well, I mean, is there anything else that you feel like you want to share with our viewers as far as, you know, what else your daughter may be going through or what you might be going through? I know that you mentioned to me earlier that you live with your daughter, therefore that's why you couldn't really be an option. But as far as I remember from the attorneys that I, you know, do the shows under, that's kind of what they consider, you know, a no less restrictive option, meaning if you live with your daughter, I would think that that should be okay by the judge to let the grandson come back, because you're there and you could be monitoring all the time. And that could be another option that the attorney could pose to the judge as far as getting the child placed back in the home and not in a foster home.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of believe.
I would push for that.
You know, I mean, I thought it was unsupervised because she brings him in, leaves, never comes and checks on him. You know, in my opinion, monitored visits means she comes up to the front door and knocks on the front door and comes in and goes downstairs and checks on my grandson.
She should be monitoring the whole visit from start to end. That child should never leave her eyesight throughout the whole visit. That's what I've always been under the assumption of. When you have monitored visits, that's what the monitor is supposed to be doing. Because now look at, they're trying to say that they found a new bruise and they're trying to accuse your daughter of it. But how can your daughter prove that it wasn't her when the monitor is not monitoring the visitation?
Oh, here's another funny thing. Every time I see my son, he get new bruises. Every time I see him, bruises on his body. That was
in fact, the 23rd of April, my daughter was going to her therapy with my grandson, and I got a call from a DHS worker. The foster mother was turned in, and he had a black eye, which they called that an accident, and there was a gash on his back eye, on his back of his head. I have turned in these bruises to DHS on several occasions. They don't do nothing because this foster mother lies. Oh, they're accidents. It either happens at school or that happens at daycare.
I know, it's just completely backwards, you know. It's like here the child is really truly getting abused by these foster placements, but yet when they see a bruise on that they recognize, then they want to right away accuse your daughter of it, when how do they know it didn't come from the foster home? So, well, I mean, is there anything else you want to share about your case, or
No, thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I know that we still have some time left, but you know, we can go ahead and end the show a little bit early. But if you ever want to come back and be a guest again to give an update on your daughter's case, we'd love to have you, and you know, share with any viewers that are watching to see, you know, what ends up happening. And you know, I keep my fingers crossed and pray for your daughter and your grandson that everything hopefully goes in your favor and your grandson gets returned home. But I would definitely have your daughter talk to her attorney about, you know, the whole visitation aspect and the fact that the monitor is really not monitoring the visits. Therefore, if that monitor feels like she can be unsupervised because that's what she's doing, then the child should be returned home. And I would see if they can argue that, you know. But all right. Well, if there's nothing else you want to share, then we'll go ahead and end the show here. And I thank you again for coming on. And again, if you want to come back again, just shoot me a text or an email and we'll get you scheduled again. And I'm sure the guests would like to hear an update. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, Grace, you can go ahead and end the show.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted, and if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last ones left. Put your